Peace, Chem family. It's me, BaNausset KaNSekhmet, the naturopathic nurse for Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center, and I am back with another video. For those of you who are already subscribed, welcome back. And for those of you who are new to this channel, welcome. You can go ahead and click the subscribe button if you would like to hear more about what we're going to be discussing today and in the future. I am a registered nurse, a BSN RN, and I work with men and women of African descent to achieve mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual wellness through ancient African holistic healing principles. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about Irish moss. Yes, I've discussed Irish moss previously in some of my other videos, but I haven't gone in depth about it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and I'm also going to show you how I make my Irish moss gel. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Irish moss is a type of plant algae. It's somewhat of a seaweed, okay, that is found in the Atlantic Ocean on the coastlines of the Atlantic waters in Britain, Europe, and certain areas of North America, particularly in the Caribbean. Irish moss is also known as sea moss, okay? So some people will call it Irish moss, other people will call it sea moss because it's not necessarily coming from Ireland. You know, I get my sea moss particularly from Jamaica. There are other people who get it from other places such as St. Lucia and other Caribbean islands. So some people will just call it sea moss. I have been using Irish moss for about a year consistently now to achieve certain results in my health. The biggest result that I have noticed is a reduction or actually elimination of my cramps. I have been known to have very painful periods, which I've talked about on several videos on this channel, how I was able to eliminate my painful periods. Irish moss was a huge help in that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the properties that contribute to that. If you've ever heard of the world-renowned holistic healer Dr. Sebi, who was known to cure certain ailments that we consider to be uncurable, such as cancer, HIV, all of these things, he highly recommended Irish moss. And one of the reasons he recommended Irish moss is because the body is made up of 102 minerals that help to keep the body in perfect health and wellness and good functioning of all of our organs and our cells. And Irish moss in particular has 92, yes, 92 of the 102 minerals required for health in the body. So that makes it a super food, a very nutrient dense super food. And it is extremely helpful when incorporating it into your nutrition for a wide variety of purposes. Irish moss increases metabolism, and it is a huge immune system boost. We have to understand that the immune system is severely lowered when we lack minerals and nutrients in our diet. And when you are eating the SAD, standard American diet, which severely lacks nutrients, it is going to be almost impossible not to have some type of condition or for your immune system to be compromised. So when you eat foods such as Irish moss that are high in nutrients, you build up your immune system and also rev up your metabolism. Irish moss is also great for removing mucus, expelling mucus, and clearing up congestion in the lungs and in the airways. It also has a property in it called carrageenan, or a substance called carrageenan, which is a gelatinous substance, and it's used as a thickener in certain foods. Irish moss is also extremely good for skin conditions of all kinds, including eczema, psoriasis, you name it. You can use it internally by, ingesting it, or you can also add it in your own personal homemade lotions and things like that. It also has a lot of antiviral and antibacterial properties. So now I'm going to take you into my kitchen where I show you exactly how I prepare my sea moss gel. So first things first, you want to make sure that you are working with wild crafted sea moss. And I will discuss that a little bit further in a minute. I have about 2 ounces of sea moss here. So I'm going to take that and put it into a medium-sized bowl. And I'm going to rinse it off, okay? The sea moss, when it comes from the sea, sometimes has a lot of debris on it, may have some extra salt. So you want to thoroughly rinse it off in water, warm water, not too hot, not too cold. As you can see, I'm checking all of the pieces to make sure that I've removed any debris that is entangled in the sea moss. Then you want to pour that water off, and you're going to get ready to use some fresh spring water, okay? You can use spring water or distilled water, but you definitely don't want to use tap water for this portion. So as you can see, I'm using spring water, which I am going to take and cover the Irish moss. This is to rehydrate it. So you can see when it came in the package, or when I took it out of the package, it was totally dry. And so we're going to rehydrate it with water. You want to make sure that you're using pure water, okay? Not tap water. And I'm going to cover it with some foil. And I'm going to let it soak for 6 to 12 hours to rehydrate. Now it is about 6 or 7 hours later, and as you can see, the sea moss has expanded to about 2 to 3 times the size it was when it was dry. As you can see, it is soft and it is gelatinous now. So it has a nice springy texture, and this is how you know that it is fully hydrated. You don't necessarily need to soak it any longer than that unless you are using sea moss that is not wild crafted, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute. But the sea moss that I have here is wild crafted. It is 100% raw, taken from the waters in Jamaica. So I'm going to show you the difference between wild-crafted sea moss and sea moss that has been processed. What you see in front of you is 100% wild-crafted organic sea moss taken from the waters of Jamaica, and it has been sun-dried. There's no processing at all involved in the sea moss. This moss you can get from my website, www.kemeticwellness.com. As you can see, it is very hard. It's hard, it's crunchy, And that is the texture of 100% wild-crafted premium sea moss. That is how it looks. This is golden sea moss. You can see it doesn't have a lot of spring in it, and it actually kind of hurts my fingers a little bit when you touch it because it's a little prickly. So that's what the wild crafted sea moss looks like. And this is what sea moss that has been processed looks like. I don't know the exact processing, but this is a sea moss that I have been finding in a lot of Asian stores, Korean stores. And you can see that it has all of this salt on it, almost like they added extra salt onto it. It's very springy already, similar to how the sea moss is after you rehydrate it, and it's already been processed. So if you look at the difference between the two, you can see with the wild crafted sea moss, there isn't all of this extra salt on it. And here it's almost like they poured salt onto it. It has a totally different texture. So they have done some type of processing to that sea moss. So I just want to show you the difference up close in what the sea moss looks like when it has been processed versus how it looks when it is wild crafted, meaning organic and pure. And there you can see some of our packaged sea moss. This is our wild-crafted Jamaican sea moss, and you can find that on our website at www.kemeticwellness.com. Okay, so now we're going to take that sea moss that we hydrated and we're going to add it to our Vitamix blender. So as you can see, it makes a lot of moss. That 2 ounces is going to fill up the entire blender. And I have some more spring water, which I'm going to pour over it. And I'm only going to pour a bit at a time. I believe it is at the 400 ml mark. So that is how much water I have in the blender. And that's what I'm going to start off with. So I'm going to start off with the blender on the lowest setting and see how far that gets me before I add some more water. And I'm going to increase the power as I go, turning it all the way up and then onto the highest setting. Now from here, I'm going to add some more sea moss as I go. And when I can see that it's getting too thick to be able to blend, I'm going to add more water. So here I'm just adding more sea moss and more water as I go. And you can see just from that 2 ounce amount of dry sea moss that I use that I have almost completely filled up the blender. And I'm not done. There's still some more left in there. See, now I'm going to fill the entire blender up, adding sea moss and water as it becomes too thick. You want to blend it into a gel-like consistency, and we're going to see what that consistency is in a few minutes. So here you can see we have our sea moss gel, and you can see that it is not too thin or too thick. It's just a nice gel consistency. However, once we put it in the refrigerator, it is going to thicken up some and be more of a gel consistency. So it still looks even more liquid than how it's going to look after we put it in the refrigerator. Here's a better close-up. And as you can see, we filled up the entire blender. So this is a lot of sea moss. So now I'm going to fill up my glass jars with this sea moss, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. You want to make sure that you are using glass and not plastic, okay? You want to use natural materials for your nutritious food. And as you can see, this blender is going to give me about 2.5 jars full of sea moss. Now, once you bottle these up and place them in the refrigerator, they will last you for several weeks. If you want it to last longer than that, you can put it in plastic and put it in the freezer. So that is it for this video. I hope this video was helpful to you all. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.